All right. Welcome to another edition of the Audio Project with Dina Tierney, and this is the Athlete Series. I have a very special guest who I've known for quite a while, I think more social media digitally than rather in person, but we've had a few, face-to-face meetings, which is cool. So thank you for being here, Damon.
Thank you.
So we've got Damon Trevor, personal trainer in the office, in the studio. Thank you again for being here. I want to start off, if you can provide a little bit of an introduction to our audience of who is Damon? Tell us who you are.
I've been trying to figure that out for the last 15, 20 years. I have no clue. But yeah, I work as a personal trainer, owner of Team Move. So we're a local fitness company. We've been on the island for, that long, over 15 years. And I've been a trainer now for about 15 years, give or take. Train clients in a Honolulu area, but also go out onto the west side, Kapolei, Pearl City. So we're kind of a mobile fitness company. Try to inspire and motivate people as best as I can, and try to do it with a little humor as well, so they get tricked into doing exercise and not be afraid or threatened or any way. So,
do you feel like you started it that way because you felt like people were afraid or intimidated?
I'm just naturally goofy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm going to try to go one conversation without cracking a joke. But I just feel like everything's so serious in the world these days. And I like to see people smile and just open up. So I'm like always doing icebreakers every time. So
that's nice. That's cool. So how'd you get started in fitness? Did it start young or?
Yeah, it actually started, well, you see, I grew up in the 80s. So, there was Slim Fast, there was Richard Simmons, there was everything you can think of, spandex and leotard and all that, right? So my mom was into the Slim Fast and everything. My dad was always lifting weights. So I was always around fitness. It was just a matter of time where I would eventually end up being in that realm somehow. I was about 9 or 10 years old. I remember doing this aerobics workout. There was this guy named Gilad back in the day. I don't know how far you go back, but be careful when you do. So yeah, this was probably the early 90s, late 80s.
Was he the guy in Hawaii, out on the ocean?
Yeah. So he'd be out in different parks with the beaches in the background.
Yep.
He'd have maybe 4 or 5 people in the background, and everything's tight. He's a good looking guy, curly hair. But I used to watch that on TV, and I was a weird 10-year-old. I used to follow along doing aerobics and everything. Really weird kid. So that's kind of how I got started. And then after that, I went to lifeguarding. So nice. I did lifeguarding for, I think, 7 to 8 years. Was into triathlon, biathlons, marathons, everything. So fitness was always around. It's just I never made the connection yet. So after lifeguarding, I guess...
Where'd you lifeguard?
I lifeguarded at different... No, see, you guys are thinking Baywatch lifeguard. No. Let's get rid of this whatever fantasy you got. I was a pool lifeguard. So
okay.
I started off at the water park in Kapolei. So that was actually my first job. And then I worked for Park and Recs or City and County. Okay. We did some beach here and there, but mostly different rec centers and whatnot. That was my dream from I guess, I might have been 10 or 11 years old. All my dreams started off kind of early, and I just eventually made it a career. But, where was I? Lifeguarding for 7 years. Always loved helping people. Always loved the lifestyle. That's what it was. Just the whole health and fitness and exercising and, I don't know if you remember Baywatch, but it's kind of some motivational stuff with the music playing and running slowly on the beach.
Visualize yourself.
Yeah. So it was always a cool lifestyle. So after lifeguarding, I just went into fitness, and that's kind of how I started my career.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what gave you the inspiration or the idea for Team Move? Was that really with the culmination? Was there a moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to try this?
I've always had I think a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners have a little chip on their shoulder. We want to change the world. We want to do something big, right? So for me, I was living on the west side, and there was no fitness programs down that side. And we're talking about 2004, 2005.
Okay.
Now we got gyms and everything down that side. But But I got a little irritated because I said, everything's in town. I said, where's the programs on the west side? So then I started a Sunday fun run. That's kind of how it all started. And then the word MOVE was actually an acronym. So it stood for Motivating Others Via Exercise.
Cool.
And then we came up with Team MOVE. And then from there, just started, I guess, figuring out programs and whatnot. So
how did you make people aware of your fun run?
First of all, the fun run didn't really work out. I feel like majority of my career is a hoax. But it was an idea that I wanted to, to follow through with, but we ended up finding other programs and whatnot to do. But it was really, in the beginning stages, it was old school advertising. I'd print out flyers and I'd go out to Jamba Juice and all these places, and they probably threw my flyers away after a couple of days. And that's how Team Move started.
But you meet people through that process.
Yeah.
And connections are built, and
it's
kind of the dots connect eventually.
Yeah, like with any business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you still do triathlon, marathons, things like that?
I don't anymore, but
Okay.
I do have one coming up in June of this year.
Okay.
So my client paid for it for me, so I'm kind of stuck doing it.
She wanted you to train? Or
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
I guess she thought it was a funny joke. She just paid for me. But I felt the pressure. Okay, now I got to do it. But she paid for it, and
Which one is it?
Honu
Okay.
in Kona. So it's a
Nice.
Honu half Ironman triathlon.
Oh, cool.
So, I said this is gonna be my last triathlon because it's time consuming, and after a while I guess you kind of lose the love for certain things because it's just a lot of training triathlon. But I am gonna do it in June. I plan to, so I better really hurry up and train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does your training program look like for a tri?
It's not as detailed as before.
Okay.
When I was younger, in my early 20s, I used to do 3 workouts a day. So it'd be like morning, it'd be lunch hour, it'd be like, I was a lifeguard. So it kind of worked out. I could swim on my lunch break, right? And then later on, it'd be like a bike, and on top of that, you got to fit in strength training. So it's like, I don't know, you'd be lucky if you have 1 day off a week, but you're basically training 2 to 3 times a day and eating whatever you want. So it was a good time. I can't do that anymore. Yeah.
Okay, please. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your business. And I think some of the things that you do, with the business itself, do you find that your past, having been an athlete, having been competitive, has helped you in certain aspects as you built Team Move?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's the whole, not only in, I think, business, in life in general. See, the first thing you have to understand is athletes are very stubborn and they think they are invincible. And if you tell them not to do something, they can't do something, they'll probably try to prove you wrong. So like I said, from the beginning, that chip on the shoulder kind of followed me wherever I went. I learned as an athlete, if I put in the time and I put my mind to it, I can do anything. And also if I'm consistent and I guess a lot of athletes can take pain. They know how to take pain and suffering, and they're not afraid of it. And they also have patience too. They can train for weeks and months. So if you look at business in general, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You have to be patient, especially the early stages of business.
Yep.
And you have to be tough because there are things that are going to happen in business, whether your employees don't like you. I know all your employees like you. But
Right.
I'm just saying,
We'll see.
Oh, where did they go?
Well, you're going straight into what I wanted to ask, which
Yeah.
is kind of dealing with a setback, because I feel like that. Was there any big setback that you can think of, and like thinking kind of reverse engineering that as far as like how you applied some of those skills that you just named?
Setbacks, holy cow. I had too many of them. Trying to think where. I did have, so when I was about 17 or 18, I had a tumor in my calf muscle. And a lot of people don't know that. I have this big, huge scar, from here to here. I just tell the girls that I wrestled a shark. That's all. They don't believe it, but that was the first, I guess, setback, because they did tell me that we're going to take out a piece of your calf muscle. So your calf muscle is broke up into right and left. They took out one side of it. So they said, when we take it out, you probably won't be able to run as good. And, in other words, they were saying you might want to find another sport. And of course, the stubborn athlete is like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to train. And, a year later, I just continued to do triathlons, marathons, and I did even better, if anything.
Wow.
But it was the whole time of being in a cast and having that setback and, and working through it. I think there's just something about the whole process. And I think in business, we talk about the process.
Yeah.
It's not, getting the $1 million or succeeding. It's the road to get there.
Yeah.
And that's what athletes are all about, is working and training towards that process. Yeah.
Yeah. And looking at your business too and seeing, I think it was written on your site that, you've been asked to do other types of programs, but maybe your competitive differentiator, your passion is something else. Tell us about what that vision is for Team Move. I'm really curious to hear it straight from you.
Yeah, I think a part of what you're talking about was just we don't believe in diets, we don't believe in fads and all those programs. We've, like any business, you get offers, right?
Yep.
Hey, you want to partner up and do this? And I'm like, no, we don't want to. But we try to keep it as natural as possible. And we want it to be done the natural way. We want exercise, we want eating right. I've never promoted a supplement. I've never promoted an energy drink. I don't even drink coffee. And it's hard to tell because I'm just talking away. You think, did you just drink coffee before I came in here? But I think my whole lifestyle, my whole life in general, and the business is just about doing things the natural way and working hard towards it. No fad diets, no shortcuts, no magic pills.
How do you build energy?
I drink lots of water. I love what I do.
Yep.
And I think you can relate to that too.
Yeah, you definitely have to love what you do.
Because we've all been at jobs where we wake up, we're like, it's Monday again. And ever since I quit my full-time job and I did my business full-time, I remember like the first Monday I got up, I didn't dread it anymore. And I said, wow, I'm doing what I love to do. This is business. This is great, right? So yeah, that in a nutshell.
I'm curious on some of your programs, like if you could describe a couple of the interesting ones, because you said that you like to keep your clients on their toes, keep it interesting, and shake things up. What are some of those things, the programs that you have, and how does it keep you true to yourself? Like, I feel like that's the thing. Whenever I see anything from you, it's always so you. Like it's very distinctively you.
Yeah.
So what are some of those?
We're in the process.
Damon things.
I don't know about distinctively, but we're in the process of developing more programs this year. It's just a matter of having the right amount of staff and everyone to cover that. We have a few programs right now. We have personal training, which is one-on-one, or we also do in small groups of 2 or 3. We also travel to people. So I've gone to a lot of garages and houses to train people out of. Private personal training gives you that personalized attention, because when you're in a class, like I know you've done classes before, probably, you feel like you're in the back and you're kind of forgotten. You don't know what's going on. Personal training, you can't run, you can't hide. I'm there right in front of you watching your every move. And we're also in contact too, like 24/7. If you have a question or whatnot, they can always text me. So we got personal training. We got our Move Camp class, which is out at Alamoana Beach Park. And we've been out there for a little over a decade. Tuesday, Thursdays, 5:45 p.m. That's a boot camp style workout. We call it Move Camp so we don't intimidate anyone. And then our last program right now is our Team Move at Home. So that's a online Zoom workout.
Oh, wow.
Where if you can't make it to a class in time, you're fighting traffic, parking, you just turn on your computer. And we've had clients literally stop in the middle of traffic, pull on the side. That's how crazy they are. And go to a nearby park and just open up their laptop and follow along. So that's kind of our 3 mainstay programs right now. That's
cool. Well, I've seen some videos on your marketing, your social media with you, like you can use anything that you have, in your office. You don't need all the fancy equipment. How do you come up with the ideas, or what sort of drives all that? Because that's cool. I think that's a good differentiator for you.
It takes years of practice. It does. Yeah. It's your experience too, right? So for me, the beginning of my career, I used to work at a hotel, Holly Cole Hotel out in Waikiki. And we used to get clients come on a daily basis, and you never knew who you were getting. And you didn't have much time to consult and sit down with them. So you would have to do things on the fly. And sometimes as a trainer, you're stuck in a situation where it's like, okay, all I have is a dumbbell. And I've been using this dumbbell to keep my door open so the wind doesn't close it. What can I do with it, right? And that's what I love about personal training, is being able to adapt on the fly and kind of improv. And that's kind of what I prided myself on doing, is being able to improv and adapt to anything.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that's really good. Actually, one of the things I really liked was like things like mat Pilates or something like that, where you're using your own body weight, you're using what you have, and you realize like, wow, this takes almost more control. Yeah. Because the control, with those things kind of guiding you, it's a little bit different versus like you have to control everything. And using your own body weight.
And of course, you can just do body weight. That's the easy answer. But like, where's the creativity in that? I feel like I want to do more. Yeah. Like, I feel like you need to give me a box and I'll just make a workout out of a cardboard box. I just like the creativity of it. That's what I like.
Do you have any favorite client success stories?
Too many. Your
clients clearly really like you. I mean, I can tell from following you.
I told you I'm goofy. I'm not intimidating at all. Some trainers you'll see, they got a whole bunch of muscles. I keep myself looking very average, so I'm not intimidating at all. But one of my favorite success stories is we had a lady that her and her husband was trying to have a second child, and they were trying to conceive, and they were doing it for a long time. But because of her weight and her health, they weren't able to. So they tried for years to have another baby. And then we started personal training with her. So we met like 3 times a week or so. And after so many months, she gave me a call and she was like, I got some good and bad news. I said, okay, what is it? She said, I have to stop training. I said, okay, why? Because I'm pregnant. Aww. And to this day, I see the kids, and the kids are like 10 and 12 years old now. Wow. Yeah. So it's, that's pretty huge.
That's rewarding.
It's another life that you're bringing in. It's not even just, I don't know. It blows my mind to think that there's another living organism, another human being walking around because of partly part of what I did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very much. It's indirect, but also weirdly direct. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Fitness is so important. And what do you think gets in the way of people, maintaining it or getting fit in the first place and then maintaining it?
I think I'll give you an answer that's probably not said as much, because when you hear a fitness trainer, it's always the same answers. They're just not motivated or they're lazy. It's not that. I think in a world that we live in now, there's so much distractions. There's too much distractions. So people are on social media, they're posting something, and then you got to write the caption for your post, and they're on there's so much distraction these days that I don't think people can quite grasp their goal and focus on it. Like when I was training 15, 20 years ago, there was really no, it might have been MySpace maybe at the time, but there wasn't much distractions. So I could focus on training, and I didn't have to, take a picture for the gram and do all this stuff, right? So I think people are very distracted, and I think part of it is their not only distraction, but it's kind of a scatterbrain. They want this, they want that. And then there's so many diets out there, and it's like, okay, let me try this diet. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try this one. So they end up giving up. So it's a lot of scatterbrain and a lot of just information. There's too much out there.
But you stay focused.
I try.
Stay focused on your piece. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not the greatest at staying focused, but I try.
What do you do? How do you maintain your focus?
I don't know. I have no clue. I'm distracted by social media too. So I understand what people go through. But there's times where you have to take a break. I just took a 2-month break not too long ago, and I felt great. And there's times where you just got to say, look, this is for social media time, and this time is I got to exercise, I got to work out, and I got to put the phone down. And it just comes down to being an adult. And
that makes sense.
Being a responsible adult.
That's cool. Well, you do post a lot of good stuff, a lot of good content out there. How do you keep it up, man? You're You're teaching your classes, running your
It's too
business,
much.
doing your social sites.
I need good people working for me like how you have. I need a good staff to take care of all that social media stuff.
It's a lot.
Yeah, because majority of it is me. It's 90% me pretty much. And it's editing, and it's, I know all the aspects of it, as far as editing and shooting, and there's a lot of learning in the process. But I slack like anyone. I'm not perfect, but I know that the business continues to run, and I got to put out content. So
Yeah. Well, no, it's really good. I enjoy following all your stuff, and you put out a lot of good content, which is good. And you share a lot about, the challenges that you deal with, not only on a personal level, but with your business, kind of the podcast just changes that you go through. And it's really cool to follow the journey that you've been on. So thanks for that. In closing, I guess I wanted to ask you, if you think about the audience that we have, a lot of people are in business. They might be just kind of going through their career, doing their thing. And I'd like to walk away with a skill set or a tip or something from you that you learned as an athlete that we can help our audience sort of tone their muscles, so to speak, and become stronger at developing their career or growing a business or becoming a better leader. Are there any things that come to mind as you think about yourself as an athlete and a business owner too? That's fine.
I've always said you have to go through hell to get to heaven. You have to go through a lot of bad in order to get to where you want to be, and it's gonna suck, and you're gonna suffer, but it's like anything. It's like getting a degree in college and things that I didn't even do myself. It's a lot of time and effort, but I mean, if you stick with it, you'll see the results. And I can give you see, trainers are really good at giving you 100 different motivational quotes and everything.
Yeah.
But really, you have to know what you want, and you have to have a purpose behind it, because people don't have a purpose. So they do diets, they do workouts. What is their purpose? Is it living longer to see your grandchildren? Is it keeping up with your grandchildren? Is it keeping up with your kids? Is it, you don't want to be a statistic. You want to be healthy and pass it on to the next generation. You have to have a why, and you have to have a strong one and a purpose, because I guess in business, that's kind of what we do. We have a why, and we get up every morning because we have a purpose. And I think people give up when they don't have a purpose or any reason for going on or doing anything. So I think you have to know what your goal is, and you have to know what your purpose is. I think that's really important.
Yeah. I really like that. This morning we were doing some internal training with a leadership coach.
Nice.
And they did the same thing. They literally said, at the physical level, right, you're sleeping, you're eating right, you're being healthy, you're taking care of your mental abilities. But if you don't have the why at the top of that pyramid, it's like, I'm just taking care of myself to take care of myself. You're not doing it for a reason. And he really encouraged everyone to really spend the time to think about that why. He's like, you can't instantly just say, here's my why. I like that you said that, because it's so, number one, timely, but it's so relevant. Like, otherwise it's just you're walking through the motion.
I always tell clients it's temporary pain. And I've dealt through a lot in my life. I mean, you can name it. It can be surgeries and injuries and even depression. I've done it all. And the one thing that has always stuck in my head, and I tell clients to this day, I said it's temporary pain. So when you're struggling and you're like, I can't go on any longer, this plank is ridiculous. I've been holding this plank for 2 minutes now.
That's impressive.
No, that not me. I'm just,
okay, right.
It's an example, of course. I can't even hold it for barely 45 seconds. But what has helped me is the line of it's temporary, and just hang on a little bit longer. You're going to get through it, and you're going to suffer. And I think when you know what to expect, you just say, I'm going to suffer. Look, I'm not going to feel good. This is going to be bad. Then there's no surprise. You knew it was coming. You knew this wasn't going to feel good. Now just push through it, right?
Yep.
That's all it comes down to, I think.
Yep. But then you're better for it.
Yeah.
You're way better for it. So.
You are, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very sound wisdom. And I guess at some point I may need to try that 2-minute plank. I don't know if I could make
Start
it.
off with 1 minute. 1 minute will do fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, Damon, thanks for coming to the office and hanging out and giving us some good inspiration. I think your story is super awesome, and your business is really cool.
And can I just
cool.
say, because no one does this on your podcast, you are amazing as a businesswoman, and I really admire everything you do. And I sometimes I look at your content and I look at your stuff, and I'm like, how is she so professional? How does she keep it all together? You know,
because I know that's not really who she is.
No, I know you are. I know you are.
Yeah,
but
thanks.
I do admire you. And
Thank
we follow each other for a long time. I don't know how long.
Well, you know what? I remember one day I was running, because I used to run a lot in Waikiki. I don't run as much anymore because of my time constraints. But I went for a run. I got on Twitter and I said, feeling less grumpy after that run.
Yeah.
And that was immediately when I guess you were trying to follow people that were running and stuff. And so then we instantly were following each other from that point. And then I think, that was before IG and everything else was out. So we've been following each other for
It's been a long time.
long time.
Yeah. And I'm glad to connect in whatever way I can. But I think you're doing amazing.
Thank you.
Just keep it up. I know you don't get enough on the podcast. It's usually about the guests, but
Yeah,
I want to turn it around on you and just make sure your listeners know like how good of a job you do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Okay. All right. Well, we are done with the episode, and I'm sure we'll be in touch. I'll have to have you come back after maybe your try.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
And to hear
If I
about
survive
you will.
Yeah.
To hear about, the challenges and like the highlights and
a lot of suffering.
The trainings and the rewards. So,
Looking forward to it.
yeah, that'll be fun. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina.